Here you go.
All right. One,
Top
two,
speed. Table set before me, so plus the other side can't ignore me. They just wanna join, say Lord you would change up. Maybe you should flip a coin. They got the trophy waiting for me where I'm going. Put that banner up. The skills here are so intact. I travel to the future when I step back. Hang time like the dock and you might be stacked. But to stop what we got, man, you might need Shaq. They think our confidence is arrogance, but that's just fact. Destiny yelling how we look if we don't scream back. We are cream of the crop, the top tiers. While they beating on the drums, cause the champs in here. Yeah. Oh, just look at that beat. Yeah. Come on. You were never getting on our level. We go here, we would never settle. So these raised high here, we call it heavy metal. Giving no breaks, yeah, beat on the pedal top three. Up for any challenge you bring. See the results of the last group that challenged the team. Efficiency is high when you challenge the ring. Matter of fact, hold this L and clean. You deserve it. We don't just dominate, we serve it. No guesswork here, we certain. You see the wings and start flirting. We put a ring on it, where's the curtains? Just look at this beat. You were never getting on our level. We go here, we would never settle. Trophies raised high here, we call it heavy metal. Giving no breaks, yeah, the beat on the pedal top three.
And hot dogs and buns. Check out.
Hey now, would you like to leave a tip for the hard-working employees who keep our store running?
Fine.
Hi, I'm Tippy. Thanks for tipping. I'll make sure your tip goes to the people who deserve it most. Leave a tip for Tippy?
No.
Okay. Would you like to donate money to feed starving children?
Starving. Fine.
But not for Tippy?
No.
Would you like to leave a tip for the farmers who grew the produce?
Nah.
Would you like to tip the freezer repair person?
Nope.
Want to make a donation to cancer research?
Cancer. Fine.
And still no tip for Tippy?
What? No. Why would I tip Tippy?
For processing the tips.
Well, how about I just don't tip and then there's nothing to process?
But this is the process. Explaining Tippy and where your tips go is part of the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
So a tiny tip for Tippy?
Fine. The tiniest of tips for Tippy.
Hi, I'm Tippy Jr. Thanks for tipping Tippy. He sure does work hard to process the tips. Would you like to throw a coin to Tippy Jr.? Sir? Are you still there? You see? I told you. Why would anyone want to throw a coin to Tippy Jr.? You're useless. Sorry, Bob.
This is pretty good.
Yeah, man. hey, Smurf. Sometimes, man, living in this hellhole of a country, man. Sometimes you gotta laugh at your misery.
Yeah. The absurdity of it is not lacking.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, man. Like, damn, man, you're already paying greedflation prices, and then motherfuckers ask, do you want to donate to this and that? Do you want to donate to the shoe fund, the house fund, the fucking,
Yeah. And like most people are like unaware that Walmart is like responsible for half of this, all these like plagues of Egypt,
yeah,
and you're the bad guy for like not having extra money for Walmart to not pay taxes and get out of like paying its dues.
yep, yeah.
I had a fight with a girlfriend that once, and I still remember like being like, "Oh no, we are not the same. We are not like." And I still remember like being like, "Oh, it's gonna be hard to get out of this." Like, if I gotta explain how this is fucked up and like it's gonna be long. It's gonna be a long uphill fight.
Oh, she one of those hip, brainwashed individuals that think that everything
Oh,
is meant to be.
she came out of Walmart being like she was out of herself, like with rage, and she was like, "I can't believe the lady in front of me would not donate." And I was like, "Okay, no,
Yeah,
wait. Charity is like it looks fine, but it's a fucking plague." Yeah.
yeah, it's suspect. I call charity sus. It's very
I
sus.
mean, I guess like if a brother of Christ comes to me in a moment of vulnerability and gives me bread and stays silent, I'll take that as like pure, no intention. I'll be like, that's a nice act of charity, there, brother. But if you're coming at me with like, take the bread, but you gotta tell the prayer with me, I'm like, okay, you have intention. Yeah, you're actually using my
Indoctrination.
vulnerability to sell your beef, right? And
Yeah,
yeah, so like anytime it's connected to a cult, yeah.
yeah, man. Like JB Funt, when he was real young, his mom and his brother they stayed in homeless shelters in Florida before they got on their feet, and he would say like most of those homeless shelters were like Christian based, so they wanted you to pray and listen to read Bibles and everything else. Like, nah, man. Like, um, now I'm not trying to offend any of my Christian friends out there, but like if I'm at a homeless shelter and they force me to pray, I'm just gonna
Yeah,
be on the street. So
yeah.
yeah, man.
Our God is a good God, but if you're not a pawn to our God, you are nothing.
Hey Smurf, you know who's my god? Karl Marx.
No.
Oh man, I'm kind of I'm ticklish over here today. Today's been a weird
Yeah,
day. I
yeah.
finally got. Uh,
Religion is the opium of the masses. I think Marx himself would be against being deified.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. I was
Be
just
like,
joking.
go build a barn and go do some farming.
Yeah. Grow a garden and yeah. Oh man, yeah. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of. It's not the Good Faith Show 101 with Smurf anymore. I'm gonna change it to 101 with Smurf. That makes more sense. So, welcome to the show, guys. I'm Shubba's brother, and this is LSD Smurf over here. And we coming to you live, from the streets of the ATP network, voice of the voiceless.
The
Oh man,
undergrounds.
yeah, and also too, the ATP man. Not only with the voice of the voiceless, we truth tellers, baby. Yeah, we the truth tellers. So we don't bullshit y'all. I need to add you to that graphic too, Smurf. I will eventually. But yeah, man, we don't bullshit y'all. We not David Packman. We're not Kyle Kalinske. We speak from the heart. You know, we read theory. We speak from the heart, and we help our community. We don't just do this for the YouTube memberships and fucking AdSense. No, we don't make no money off this. So, I just had to say that because folks think that anybody that does this is a grifter for some reason. Like grifting off what 30 cents on Rumble. so, yeah. Um, Smurf. So what you want to talk about? That podcast that you told me about yesterday?
Yeah, it's nothing special, but it's just it's a topic we've hit on before. It's the conversation between like the what you used to be called as the left and the right, and mostly in America, because it's a cultural thing to define the left and the right as certain types and a certain things, and put a certain bunch of people in boxes, and those boxes I told you once before I don't think are very accurate most of the time when they're used in the general public. I hear MSNBC all the time being talked about as the left, and I hear them on MSNBC being like, "Oh, the left." So they don't even think of themselves as the left. So we like, what is the left? And then I hear the Duran, in Europe, and when they speak of a left, they speak of the left of the 80s, the left of the 70s, the left of the 60s, and it's. So I was thinking like there's a bunch of people now that you can call like they're conservatives, but they would be completely open to left ideas. They're just the new definitions, the new boxes. If they're gonna leave the conservatives out, it's a lot of people that are actually they would be like Bernie Sanders voters. They would be they're not really conservatives. They're just maybe a bit late on like or they're just in reaction to what calls itself the left. Like we have a party here in Canada that's the Liberal Party, and it's just by the title you could think, oh, they're the party of freedom. They're the party of. But of course, it's a neoliberal. It's not really. It has nothing really to do with liberty. It has no. Don't get confused there. You know.
Oh my
But
God, man.
of course, the conservatives here they think the liberals are left, and the liberals are nowhere left. They're nowhere near left. So we have the same thing here going on. And the podcast I was referring to was an accidental discovery of mine. It's Dr. Wilmer Leon,
Mm-hmm.
and he had I didn't know you knew him, but he had Chairman O'Malley on, and he had Scott Ritter on,
Mm-hmm.
and to me it sounded like a natural match. I didn't think about it really, but as the show ended, I found out that those two were not really from the same backgrounds, and normally in the streets would be in opposing sides of shouting at each other. But
Yeah.
now that people were being calm and having a respectful debate, and it took the Ritter's family to like open him and talk to him about the new ideas, how we see things nowadays, about privilege, about how we see exposition to certain realities and the gradual. He says he's a old school Reagan. It's like we both of us we would think there's no redemption for that, but
Exactly.
he says he's like chairman says he's like a recovering Reaganite. Like we can
Yeah.
call him like a recovering Reaganite. You're like an
Yeah.
alcoholic. You accept your
Yeah.
problem and you're willing to come forward to something new. And I
Yeah.
thought this discussion is so important. Like if you think about it, uh, they were on opposing sides of a very violent skirmishes. Like when the guys were coming back from Vietnam, they were saying those hippies criticized the war and didn't understand like the whole. Some did, many did, but many people didn't understand why we were opposing the war, and other people didn't understand why we would not oppose the war. Of course, and the Scott Ritter's clan, if you can call it that,
Yeah.
uh, had nothing, didn't want to hear nothing about like what we would call now the freedom rights movements or Black liberation or even what in those days were like armed Black resistance group and. It's more than just civil rights. It's and so they were on opposing sides of this, and now you can say the bridge, it's gone full circle. Like those guys are on the same side now. They're opposing the war, and like the machine has been exposed, and so both sides know what they're fighting against and who their allies could be.
Exactly. Is exactly, man. Like, yeah, it shows you, ain't it? Yeah, like, what? My thing is, before I play, I'm gonna play only two parts of it. it won't be too long, the parts that I think is more important. Now, if you want me to play longer than that, then just let me know. And also too, when I pause it, I mean, if you want to say something, tell me to pause it. I want to say I mean, yeah, different background, man. Like we all have something in common. Like we against the fucking war machine. So I mean, that's why I take your interpretation of when you say that race shouldn't be a thing. I apply it to this because no matter what skin color you are or what background you are, like we all know war is bad. We all know that the oligarchy, the deep state, all these motherfuckers, they don't want us to do this right now. Like, like Ty Peasant said herself, like, eventually, Feds could be knocking at my goddamn door, whether I'm in northern Fulton County or when I'm here in Louisiana. So yeah, you're right, man. I'm finna play this part. You got anything else to say before we start the video?
No, it's cool.
Okay.
I'll see what part it is.
That are impacting the global village in which we live. On today's episode, the issue before us is, what's the status of the Uhuru 3? And my guest is the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, also known as the Uhuru Movement. He's one of the Uhuru 3. He is Chairman OMALI Yeshitela. My brother, as always, welcome back to the show.
Well, I want to express my deep appreciation to you, Dr. Leon.
Hey, Smurf, before I start, man, like, I want to give huge credit to this man, Olami Yeshitela. Like, this guy is a fucking hero, man. Like, I need to talk about this guy more on my Twitter account and on here. Like, what this guy facing now and the past shit he went through, man. Like, wow. Like, that's why, like, they said, I growing up, they always say I need to respect my elders. Now, this is the elder I fucking respect right here. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I had to say that.
And to just appreciate, thank you for giving us this opportunity to be with you again, and hoping with your help to connect the dots for the people during this really critical moment in history. Some of it has already been inferred by your opening. And so I want to express appreciation in terms of what's happening with us. On December 16th, I will be going to Tampa, Florida, the Tampa Middle District Federal Court, where the United States government intends to imprison me for 5 years, along with the two other comrades, and to take all the resources, up to $250,000 for each of us, and so that's what we're looking at right now. And so we're preparing for this sentencing, and some of the stuff you've just raised already in your introduction is that there's some irony to the fact that prior to and subsequent to the presidential election in the United States, there were ongoing warnings that a Trump presidency would place the United States in the grip of fascism, when it was the Democratic liberal Biden regime that initiated the whole Russian scare during this historical moment. And while I have been charged with participating with Russians in terms of interfering in the elections, and this whole election denial thing that has been, imposed on Trump. The fact of the matter is that it was the Democratic Party that initiated this whole Russia thing and in election denial. It was the Democratic Party that said that Trump was an illegitimate president because he didn't win the election. That it was Russia who made it possible, who put him in office. And they're talking about now how the question is whether or not the victor coming into this election that we've just come through, whether or not the loser of the election would accept the outcome of the elections. And that was the case in 2016. They made it the case right now, and they did not accept that in 2016. They said it was the Russians, the Russians, the Russians, the Russians. They did not accept the outcome. And now they're in this interesting kind of situation where they've lost this election. They're not saying it's the Russians who did it this time. Perhaps the Russians lost, attention.
Damn. Hey, Spur, you know what's weird though, man? It like every time, like oh Lord, my bad guy. Let me get back. Sorry about that. It's like every time, they like every time like what we doing or what he's doing, like we always get accused of being a Russian agent. Like like what the fuck? Like, oh, so I'm Vladimir Putin's bitch because I'm
But those words, it's like those are powerful words that gather a lot of feeling and a lot of emotion. He's a traitor to the nation.
Yeah.
He's a traitor, so it justifies anything you do to them. Who would all of them? Julian Assange, all of
Eric Snowden. Yeah.
all the whistleblowers, they're traitors. It's doesn't matter if there was some park was named. Oh, we're protecting how do they call it? Their assets. They're protecting how do they call it when they black out certain things? They have to make sure they protect their assets that are named in the document. How do they call that? So anyway, they always justify that the leaks they put in danger their spies and people that are working for the government. Hardworking CIA spooks get put in danger, so that's why you got to go after the whistleblowers because their means and resources. Anyways, doesn't matter. So. Yeah, they're always.
You're right, man. 100%.
Oh, I lost you for a second there. So yeah, it works. That's why the hook works. Like a lot of people, they don't know a lot about politics and what it means to be in a nation, to be a citizen. They've been told by the TV, you have a flag and you are owned by this flag, and thus you must be loyal to this flag, and you have to kill the enemies of this flag, and you have to listen to the representatives of the flag. So that it works. It just works so well. Like it's a tribe, it's an identity, it's a feeling, it's a promise of togetherness, of unity. So when you if you're in a village and you say we cast you out because you are a nuisance to the village, it has a lot of power. So casting out somebody as a spy, as a saboteur, as a fifth column, it always works. So even though it's not true, like just the doubt of it is enough to like instill emotion.
Yeah. It's trying to arouse the masses. Of saying he's the enemy, he's the problem. We're not the problem. He's against you guys. I'm just so sick of that, man.
And it's super tricky because if we do the revolution, we're gonna be the ones on the other end of the stick, being like, "You are an enemy of the revolution. You are an enemy." So like we have our project and they have their project, and we're going against theirs. So like it's.
Yep. Exactly, man. Yeah, and it will be people that are against the revolution. Like that's so unfortunate, but my
The
question is,
royalists, the federalists, they'll call it we're the Republicans, the true republic, the true
anarchists.
Americans, everything but the fucking revolution, the real revolution. They'll call
And
it everything. Yeah.
and the crazy thing is too, like, hey, we trying to make the system better. We're trying to make the system better for you motherfuckers, and y'all calling us fucking anarchists and
Yeah, yeah,
Proud
yeah,
Boys and shit.
yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, when you work at your job and you own the motherfucker, like you and your other coworkers, you'll think of. I guess for some of these people, I'll say this: like, I guess they so deeply like propagandized. I think until the revolution works and they'll actually see real change, I guess they'll be on our side. I guess.
It's crazy because even Russia went back to being capitalist just because it was so
Yeah.
broken down with sticks that it had to like, oh, okay, we'll play your game your way if that's the how you leave us alone. And even then, we wouldn't leave them alone.
Yeah. All right, man. I'm finna play some more of this. Then after that, we get to Scott Ritter next.
Something to this election. So it was a fabrication from the very beginning, and that's the thing that we're facing now. And you mentioned this whole Biden administration openly now exhibiting the reality that it was the U.S. that's been making this war against Russia, using Ukraine as a vehicle by giving Russia, Ukraine, the ability to giving them missiles and other leadership, because you're not talking about an army in Ukraine that was prepared with all the logistical stuff that they needed and had to be trained to utilize these weapons they're talking about. It's the United States that deployed these missiles, and they're firing into Russia. And so I am now going to sentencing rather on December 16th. One of the charges haven't been levied against us is our opposition to the United States, this United States war on Russia, and something that threatens the whole planet Earth with the possibility of nuclear conflagration. This is what we're looking at. It's an extraordinary place to be in, and I wouldn't be in any other place. And I would have. I'm so happy that we opposed this war from the very beginning. We expressed our right to the free speech, and that's what we are being tried for. Not for theft of any kind of resources, not for bribing anybody about anything, not for gun smuggling, not for drug smuggling or drug use, etc. For talking about democratic rights, talking about the genocide being imposed against African people in this country, talking about reparations being due to African people in this country, talking about people around the world to have some understanding and solidarity with the struggle of African people in this country. That's why we're going to Tampa with the U.S. intending to imprison the three of us for 5 years.
So, as I understand it, and again, if I'm misstating this, please correct me. In fact, let's give folks just a little bit of background. You, along with Penny Hess and Jesse Neville, were charged with. You were indicted on bogus charges of being agents of a foreign government or Russian agents, and for basically exercising your free speech to advocate for the liberation of African people, as you've just articulated. On the 29th of July of 2022, the FBI raided your homes and your offices. You all were convicted. You were found guilty of minor charges, but you were charged, I believe, with conspiracy, but the acting as a foreign agent's charge, you were found not guilty of, and you have appealed the conviction. So what do you anticipate to be the outcome of your going back down to Florida for sentencing, while in fact the appeal is still pending?
Well, first of all, we were you can be charged.
Mm-hmm.
The charges were two. As you mentioned, one was being an agent of a foreign government, Russia, in this instance. And so the jury, they put on 14, the state put on 14 witnesses, and all of them were paid by the government. There were 12 FBI agents, two so-called experts, Russian experts and what have you, one of whom didn't know how much he was being paid or whether he was being paid. Another didn't even know where Russia was located. This is a literal truth. We're going to be showing.
It, yeah, man. Like, okay, like that right there, man. That's all I need to know. Like, they like the one of them didn't even know what Russia was. On the oh my god, man! Like, I really
But it's tricky
do
because
hate
if you show them
Omali.
a map of Earth before the Ice Age, you don't know where Russia is,
Yeah,
so it's really tricky.
it is. Oh yeah, it is. I know. Like, yeah, like hell. To be honest
I'm
with
just
you,
making jokes.
I
I seriously had not
yeah,
heard the whole part of the episode, and
yeah,
I am really amazed that like the like the level of like they can come at you with just accusing you of being a spy now, like for no reason. Yeah, in different terms, in more modern lingo, but they try to make it sound very judicious and very legalistic. But
yeah,
actually, it's dangerous fascism.
yeah. Like they could accuse me, tired peasant, you of being terrorists. Like only
Oh,
because we
me is something else.
speaking against
I'm
the state.
You guys have special freedoms that you can fight in court for. Me, I'm a
Uh,
subject of the British Crown. You know, I have no
uh,
legal recourse whatsoever.
wow, I ain't know that. So
Yeah,
so if they could just accuse you, yo, he's a terrorist.
yeah,
Lock him up forever. Oh
yeah.
hell.
Yeah,
Oh
it's not like the
hell.
States. We don't have weapons. We don't, we live in a like democracy, but it's a parliamentarian democracy. But there's a king. We're still living under a king, you know, so we couldn't, like, we can't pretend it's a democracy. We don't have human rights like you guys do, but it's on paper. It's only on paper. So it means nothing either way.
Yeah, it's a nothing burger basically.
But
Cat it kind of similar here, like we really ain't got no
it,
rights like that either.
yeah,
But I
it's
get like we could.
weird.
What'd you say?
It's weird because you know they give us free healthcare, but we are
Yeah,
not we don't belong to ourselves legally all that much. We are
that's crazy.
subjects of the British Crown.
That's crazy. Like, wow. So we don't have free healthcare, but we have a chance, even though it's rigged against us, to fight the terrorist charges. So yeah, that's very interesting, man. So like if I move
Anyway,
to if I move to Canada, so I'll be under the British Crown. Like how that work? Like okay, if I become a
so,
citizen,
yeah, like I don't know if you want to become a citizen,
no,
they'll make you sing like "Oh Canada," the song, you know, the theme
I was
song. But I don't know exactly where you have to swear allegiance to the British Crown. But I think you do.
okay.
But if you
I
join
think
the army, you'll have to swear to serve the Queen, now the King.
yeah, but when I was in school though, we had like my teacher had us sing at Old Canada for some reason. It was kind of weird. Yeah, and I
Why
kind of
not?
remember
Why
it.
not? You know,
Okay.
it's not gonna hurt you to learn a song. All the songs are
Yeah,
stupid, anyways. You know, so
yeah, I make songs, so yeah, you're right.
it's fun. You know, there's no bad in it. But if
Yeah,
there's not that much propaganda in it. It's
yeah,
cool to learn new songs, even though there may be a bit of blood, like in the lines sometimes.
yeah, like owls, man. Oh my god, like have you? I know you seen the whole version of it. Yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe the motherfuckers actually put that shit in there. Then they took it
Yeah,
out. I guess they took it out because they went woke. Oh shit, no, we gotta
yeah,
appease
yeah,
the black folks. We
yeah,
gotta take that part
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Crazy.
After World War II, everybody acted like it was not a colony; it's a protectorate. Oh, it's not a protectorate. It's an ally, a close partner. It's a colony. Fuck it. Yeah, it's a colony. But it's like
Yeah.
I learned today that Canada is where they send all the extreme motherfuckers they use in other countries. So if they go to Peru and they want some hardcore right wing thugs, whenever the thing is over, they send the
Mhm.
right wing thugs to Canada. So whenever
Okay.
they need a bunch of like dirty motherfuckers to do some job, to dirty the left or to do something against the left or to create some problems in the street, then they send them to Canada. So now I'm like hopeless about Canada. I have no hope. Like
That crazy.
we have the Ukrainians, we have the South Vietnamese, we have probably South Koreans. We have, you see what I mean? Like
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
bad
yeah.
guys, everybody they use, if they're gonna give them a little favor, they're gonna get them out of the country and into Canada. So anyway, sorry, I just learned that today, and I'm like, what the. Yeah, it explains everything. It explains a lot.
Oh my God. That correct, man. What man, Canada, man. I thought y'all were
Yeah,
decent. Part,
I know. We gotta work
Then
on that. Yeah,
okay, you got Mexico, you got the shithole where I'm at, then you got Canada. At least you think Canada, then Mexico would be decent. Well, I found out some stuff about Mexico I didn't even know about yesterday. I was like, yeah, damn, what the hell, man? These
yeah,
people's
yeah. It's bad.
all right, man. I'm gonna continue.
This people need to see this and see the actual transcripts that we're talking about. So that was one charge. That was punishable by 10 years in prison, a $250,000 fine, and the other was conspiracy to act as a foreign agent without notifying the attorney general. So they could not. There's no way in hell they could prove that we were working as a Russian agent. So they lost on that. The jury said no. Everything they saw indicated the only one we were working for were black people and other colonized peoples around the world. But then the jury convicted us for conspiring to do something that never happened. They convicted us of conspiring to do something that never happened, and that's punishable by 5 years. So we made a motion. Our lawyers moved that the court should give a direct verdict of not guilty. That the evidence couldn't support anything that this even the ridiculous contradictory conviction shows that. So the prosecution said, no, that's not the case. So we are now going to be sentenced. And the expectation is that the state intends to send us to prison for 5 years, which could be the equivalent of a life sentence for me. And to take all of our resources, our personal resources, which is extraordinary because my wife hasn't been charged with anything, hasn't been convicted of anything. And any resources we have is a consequence of her 20-year employment for a local government in Florida, and the fact that she's been able to utilize that to buy property because I refused to get life insurance. I didn't want to have somebody betting on whether or not I was going to die before they made money, and so that is at stake as well. So our freedom is at stake, our resources at stake, and so on December 16th, we'll go to Tampa, Florida for sentencing. And as I said, that the state intends to put me away forever. And whether they can succeed in doing it or not relies a lot on this discussion we're having now and people hearing and participating openly so that the state recognizes that the people understand that this is a bogus charge, that it's an attack on the right of Black people to criticize our treatment in this country. and to in the process allow America to posture around the world as this great democracy fighting against autocracy, which is difficult to do if African people say anything about our conditions and the history of this relationship is impossible. So we're going, like I said, on December 16th, and that's where the sentencing will occur. And then after the sentencing, we'll be able to appeal. And that's when we'll go to appeal after the sentence. We'll probably do something like a notification of intent to appeal after the sentencing and move from there.
So what is the...
So, wow. So, again, like, man, see, people, if you're watching this, United States is not a democracy. Once you cross the line and say, this fucking country is fucked up, like, wow, these motherfuckers doing all this imperialism and colonialism, like, yeah, maybe we need to change that. But then the deep state said, no. They're your foreign agent. You need to be locked up for life. Send him away. And you know, this guy is 80-something years old, right? I think, like, this guy should be continue to fight freely, not behind a fucking prison cell, you know, rotting away. Like, but
he should not be fighting. Like you said, he's like our elder. He should be at home, like smoothly watching the revolution unfold and gently guiding it, but no more.
Exactly. Like, we need to fight. Like as he would say, the young bloods. Like, we need to go out there and do what he do, and be listed as foreign agents. Because, like, I'm telling you, man, like, it's insane. It really is. It's so unfortunate.
But I think I put myself in his shoes, and I think my place is more inside, locked up with an insane asylum, and so like they can watch me 24/7 being true to myself, being a fucking like anti-crown anarcho whatever. I don't like your I don't want your system. I'm living outside of it, and if I can sell your ass to to China, I will.
Hell yeah, man.
Because
I
you know
agree. I agree.
this is the only way you're not pretending, and it's the only it's no. I'm delirious because you know he of course he has more reach outside, and he has more like even if you're inside, you're still profiting the system in the U.S. Like the government is still paying a private corporation to hold you down there, so you're still profiting the goddamn system, even if you're inside. So there's no moral upside to being inside, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and also too, before I get to Scott Ritter part, they making an example out of this man. I mean, out of those three people, the Hulu three, they making an example out of him. Like,
Yeah, that's what they're there for.
You know, they telling us like, hey, you better stop all that fucking communist, Marxist, liberation rhetoric. You better shut up, boy. They telling me you better shut up. You and Thai peasant, y'all, RBN and do this and this. Y'all better shut up, or y'all ass next. So, but you know what? Hey, Smurf, I'll go down fucking swinging, man, to have a better future for Thai peasants' kids, my cousins, my nieces. Like, you know, I rather, you know, hey, they want to shoot me or they want to lock me up. Hey, at least I'm doing something right. I would say that. So.
Yeah, I think at least inside the conversations are maybe a little more like true to, you know, at least we'll have good conversations with real like people, like real fighters and real communists and real like organizers and real threats to the government. You know, it's the school of crime, but for politics. You know.
Exactly. All right, here we go.
Or Chairman Yeshitela, your home was violated by the United States government. You were placed under arrest. Scott Ritter's home was violated by the government. He was not placed under arrest, but a lot of his materials were seized by the government, his laptop, his phone, and whatnot. Scott, thank you for joining us. We asked you, and on such short notice, we asked you to join us to discuss the breaking news. Moscow says Ukraine fired 6 U.S.-made longer-range missiles into Russia, into the Bryansk region. Moscow announced this yesterday. Today. I'm sorry, earlier today. I get my days confused. Scott Ritter, give us some insight into your understanding of the use of these ATACMS into the Bryansk region in Russia.
Well, I just want to remind everybody, first of all, good morning, Chairman.
Good morning, comrade. Good to see you.
Good to see you. And we should never forget that underpinning every discussion we're having is the ongoing battle for free speech. If the U.S. government had their way, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
And we're having this conversation right now at the risk of it being considered a conspiracy.
True.
100%. So, this what we're doing right now, Wilmer, is empowering free speech by telling the government that you don't get to define free speech. Free speech isn't something the government gave to the American people. Free speech is something the American people insisted on and put a First Amendment in to protect, because it is a God-given right or a natural right. It's not something the government gets to decide that you get to have it, you don't get to have it. We all get it, and we must defend it. And I thank you for defending it by inviting us on your program, knowing the risks that are entailed. Now, getting to this, on September 12th, this isn't about Scott Ritter's analysis of the situation. I mean, I have assessed it, and I've been very vocal about my assessment, but let's just state the facts. September 12th, Vladimir Putin said, because Russia understands the reality, the technical realities associated with how the ATACMS is aimed, guided, etc., that this cannot happen without the United States programming the missile, designing the attack parameters, and putting in the missile, etc. That this missile could not be fired against Russia without American hands all over it. Therefore, if an ATACMS missile is fired by Ukraine into Russia, Russia will consider it an attack by the United States in Russia. This isn't Scott Ritter's assessment of what Russia might be thinking. This is a statement by the Russian president that a use of ATACMS missiles on Russian territory will be considered by Russia as an attack by the United States on Russia. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States this morning attacked Russia. Let me make it clear. The United States attacked Russia.
Yep. World War III, Smurf. It's imminent, man. Man.
And that was like 3 days ago.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy, man. Oh, goodness. Let me continue.
Now, the Biden administration is trying to play it off as, no, this is Ukrainian self-defense, but that's not true. Everybody knows that these missiles can't be fired without America guiding them, picking the aim point, designing the attack parameters, enabling the communications. The United States attacked Russia. Now, let's put it in a different perspective. On November 5th, the American people went to the polls and they voted. And the results were a resounding defeat for the Biden-Harris administration and their policies, and a victory for Donald Trump and his policies. I'm not being judgmental. I'm just saying that's the reality, whether you like it or not. The American people spoke, and there will be a new president on January 20th whose policies towards Ukraine are diametrically opposed to the policies of the Biden administration. And yet, the Biden administration, after the election, has made a decision to engage in precipitous action, which may lead to a war with Russia, which may lead to a third world war, which may lead to NATO engagement with Russia in combat over Ukraine. Over Ukraine. Ukraine is not an existential problem for the United States. Even if you are a staunch supporter of Ukraine, Ukrainian democracy, Ukrainian sovereignty, and you view what the Russians have done in Ukraine as wrong, the bottom line is America doesn't live or die on Ukraine, except now we will. because we're talking about the potential of a third world war that would be the end of America, a decision being made by a president whose policies were voted on November 5th and found wanting. And yet he's going forward, tying the hands of the Trump administration, trying to prevent them from implementing the mandate they believe they have been given by the American people. This is a frontal assault on democracy taking place as we speak, where a lame duck president is saying, I don't care about the will of the American people. I am going to do something because I don't like the person coming in and I disagree with that person's policies. Democracy is not about imposing your will in dictatorial fashion. The American people went to the polls. The American people voted. They voted for resolving the Ukraine conflict, not escalating the Ukraine conflict. And yet the Biden administration is seeking to escalate because they are in a panic. They know that if Donald Trump comes in on January 20th with the status quo the way it is, the United States will pull the plug on Ukrainian support and bring an end to this conflict. They are trying to create a new reality. And that new reality is that Ukraine is a part of NATO. If Russia does not respond decisively to this American attack against Russia, there will be continued escalation. Longer range missiles will be provided immediately. NATO forces will deploy onto Ukrainian soil immediately. Polish air defense will extend into Western Ukraine immediately. NATO aircraft will fly over Western Ukraine to protect the Polish air defense immediately. We will be in a third world war with Russia because NATO and the United States believes Russia is bluffing. And if Vladimir Putin doesn't do anything, I mean, I know today Dmitry Peskov gave a press conference where he said, we have signed a new nuclear doctrine and we advise the West to read it. Why would the West read this? They just attacked you. Using your own president's words, you've been attacked by the United States. And if you do nothing, then your doctrine is nothing because nobody will believe your doctrine. They'll just say that you're huffing and puffing, writing down big words, but you have no intention of following through. This is the dangerous situation right now. The United States has called Putin's bluff. And if Putin is bluffing, then they will continue to double down. If Putin's not bluffing, we have the potential of third world war.
All right, Smurf, I have a question for you. Do you think Donald Trump will end the war in Russia and Ukraine?
I don't know if he can. I don't know that Biden even could. Like, I don't. Biden was like in the jungle when they did this. So this is like the deep state doing this. So this is like Raytheon and the small, Pentagon, Security, Homeland, Security Council, motherfuckers, the Raytheon board members, those guys, they're the ones like steering the ship because Biden is lost in the jungle. Well, he was lost in the jungle. And when they asked him questions, he just dodged them, turned around and went back into the jungle. That was like the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that too. To be honest with you, I think Biden is not running shit. I think Kamala Harris is running the show over there. I think Biden. I mean, because I guess they thought that she will beat Donald Trump, but she didn't. So yeah. And second of all, I agree with you, man. Like, yeah, the deep state in the MIC, military industrial complex, man. Like,
yeah, that's the same. Yeah,
they don't want it to end.
Yeah.
They don't want it to end.
Eventually, they know that it's gonna end eventually, but the cash flow is too good, and as closer as they get to the end of it, the more money they're making. So their aim is to keep it going to the last drop of coffee.
Exactly. So they trying to squeeze out every fucking penny
To
they
the last,
can.
yeah, to the last Ukrainian. And then the question is, like, once Russia is done with Ukraine, like the government goes down, and the rest of the AFU surrenders. Let's say, imagine a scenario like that. I think if NATO is really that determined to piss off Russia with Ukraine, they're gonna do the same moves with Finland and with Poland. And then they're going to say, see, Putin is crazy. He's attacking Finland and Poland now because he's crazy. We told you all along he was crazy. He was an imperial motherfucker, and they put all their pawns in position for that. So even as the war in Ukraine is finished, and it's not there yet, as it finishes, you might see Romania go into resistance mode, or some really nasty hardware from NATO being positioned in the Baltic Sea, or they could try and again um, keep the money train going. Actually, yeah. So if you say the MIC and the deep state, it's to me it's very similar. That's the who is it that
Yeah.
calls it the Mickey Mat, like the military, industrial, media, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. All right, man. Let's continue.
Two things. One, you said on this show last week that we dodged. I'm going to try my best to quote. I'm going to channel my inner Scott Ritter. We dodged a bullet with this election because had Kamala won, is this latest move by the administration evidence to support your point? And the second part of this is, it seems as though the militarism posture or footing has shifted from the Department of Defense to the Department of State. This seems as though it has Tony Blinken written all over it, as opposed to Lloyd Austin. And Shelly, thank you for your super sticker. Folks, you all should follow Shelly's lead and provide a few more super stickers. Scott Ritter.
First of all, let's start with that. I did a meme. I'm not normally a meme person, but I'm trying to get in with the modern way of communicating to an American audience. And so I did a meme leading up to this election. And it made reference to the Marvel Avengers movie, Infinity Wars and Endgame. I don't know if you've seen them. I'm not going to explain it to them. But basically, it's the end of the world. There's all potential solutions to avoid the end of the world. And he was asked, how many of those did we win? They said one. And it came down to it, the end of the movie where good defeats evil. And instead of saying the catchphrase for the movie, I am Iron Man, I had the character say, I am voting for Donald Trump, meaning that it's a desperate situation, 1 in 14 million chance. But when I run the numbers, and when I was running the numbers, the policy formulation of a Harris administration inevitably led to an existential confrontation with Russia that would lead to nuclear confrontation. And we'd have a nuclear war, whether it's 6 months or a year. She would take the Biden administration's intentions, which we see playing out today. If there was any doubt in anybody's mind what the Biden administration intended to do with this conflict, let there be no doubt. They have basically taken a game plan that Tony Blinken wrote that was going to be extended out over the course of 6 months, and they are compressing it into 2 months. And this was their intent. They believe Russia's bluffing. I don't believe Russia is bluffing. If Russia's not bluffing, this inevitably leads to a nuclear war. So we are seeing the Kamala Harris plan play out live in front of us today in a compressed fashion. And if Russia's not bluffing, it will lead to a nuclear war unless it is stopped. But this is very important to point out. Donald Trump, for all of his many faults, anybody who's been following me knows I am not a friend or fan of Donald Trump. But I had a 1 in 14 million chance to save America and the world, and I voted for him. Not because I love him, but because I recognized that Kamala Harris would get us all killed. And the thing that Donald Trump was going to do to save us hinged on his Ukraine policy and his approach towards Russia. How do I know this? Well, inside information here. I interacted with Bobby Kennedy Jr. When he made the shift. And I wrote him a very lengthy email and said, you need to get the Trump campaign to commit in writing to something about how they're going to end the war in Ukraine and prevent. Donald Trump Jr. published an op-ed piece in The Hill, which did just that. And it incorporated a lot of written without permission of Donald Trump, which means that is the intent of Donald Trump, to bring the Ukraine conflict to an end, to prevent a nuclear war with Russia. That's 1 in 14 million, baby. I mean, it may not be perfect. You may want something else, but that keeps us alive if it can happen. But there's a lot of things conspiring against that. And what we see right now is one of the main things conspiring against that initiative from being.
I don't know about that, man. I'm not trying to repeat myself, but I mean, there's too much, military, industrial complex intervention. Like, yeah, Donald Trump claims he's anti-war, which he's not. I mean, look at his record. More drone strikes. He didn't pull out.
I think you need to put your microphone closer.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, a little bit.
Can you hear me?
A little.
Hello? This good?
It's a bit weird. Like, I hear you, but it's not clear.
Okay, hold on. I don't know what the hell is going on. It was loud earlier. Oh, hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's still faint, but it's better.
What the hell that was? I guess I plugged in my other camera.
Oh, now it's good.
Plugged in my. Okay. Yeah, I plugged in my other camera, and yeah. So, but as I was saying, like, sorry, my camera's dark, man. I don't know what in the hell going on with my cameras. I was saying, like, shit, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say Donald Trump is anti-war, but I guess Scott Riddle is saying here is like, maybe, based on who he got around him, that's, anti-war. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, what's
But
your thoughts on this, Smurf?
a lot of businessmen, if they're smart and if they like their business, they're not gonna like war unless they're selling cannons and bombs. Those are the rare businessmen that like war. But there's always the war profiteers, the people that will be selling sandwiches along the army camps. But most merchants don't like war. It's bad for business. Everybody closed down. There's no market. There's no more Black Friday. There's no more Easter celebration. There's no. So if you're selling T-shirts, war is not good for you. And I think Trump, as a businessman, he may have a feeling that war will be very bad for his businesses and his numbers and his maybe his legacy. I don't know if he cares about that. I don't think he's an idealist in the sense of like a pacifist, but uh, he's the kind of like he's old enough and tired enough now that like he will gladly say, okay, no war, I don't want war, war is bad. But I don't know that he really means it. But if he has a sense for business, then he maybe he means it that way. But I guess he just has not been approached correctly by the right people with the right money, because he would go for war if it was good business.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree. I agree 100%. I agree. So, yeah. Um, yeah. But Trump is, Trump always paints himself as his populist too. So he knows that war is unpopular among the masses. So, of course, his rhetoric gonna be anti-war like, right? But behind the scenes,
Yeah.
more drone strikes, didn't get out of Afghanistan, shit like that. So, all right,
But
let's
maybe
get these.
maybe they just haven't gotten to him yet. Because if they kill Ivanka to get him to sign on to war, maybe he will. Like they all have a price. Eventually, we all have a price. Like to get corrupted. So maybe there's a way to get him to like just be like Biden, sign on to everything and go home quiet.
Yeah.
But there's something weird with Trump that like it's to a point now that I think he's like doing it out of spite. He's doing it out of like he's got mortal enemies now, and he's like he has to fight those enemies, and he's like not doing it for fun. He's doing it for revenge. Like he's doing it
Yeah.
because I don't. Yeah, the a good argument for him is like he's certainly not doing it for profit, but every time he speaks, his value goes up. So maybe a little bit of both. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't like him. He's Uncle Sam. You know, you guys elected Uncle Sam like on the poster, and
I'm
like
embarrassed.
nobody asked who the fuck is Uncle Sam with his like stars and stripes hat and suit. Like who the fuck is this weirdo dude? Like a circus he's like a circus grand maestro or something, and like people like, yeah, you elected him. It is Uncle Sam. He's like the
Oh
weirdest
God.
piece of animal you could find. Like he's all for
Exactly.
profit, but if he was smart, there's much more profit and peace and health and cooperation and trade, and there's like he's just he likes profit, but he's too stupid to find it. Like.
Yeah.
He's a
That.
real Uncle Sam. He's like a real fucking like confused old man trying to sell a car just because that's what he does.
Yeah. Yeah. I consider Trump like a used car salesman, man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what he
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, exactly,
oh,
exactly,
oh,
exactly.
the car. Oh, it looks good outside, man. It got air conditioning, and you get inside of it, and the motherfucker check engine light on, no AC, the power windows don't work, the heated seats don't
This
work. Like
is
that's
just lies, lies. Don't believe your lying eyes.
yeah, man.
The leather is the best leather no one has ever seen before.
And the leather got fucking worn marks on it. Like, come on, man, really,
Come
really.
on, sign the paper. I telling you, I got the best words.
Yeah, I can't stand used car salesmen, man. They're the worst motherfuckers. But yeah, I don't think Trump. I don't think Trump, like you said, I don't think Trump is going to end this war in Ukraine. I mean, maybe Scott Ritter, maybe he convinced him. I don't know. Scott Ritter, he's very popular, but
But what's likely with the Republican bunch is that they'll make like kind of demon deal with him, like okay, we'll stop the funding for Ukraine and let it die out, but we're gonna go
yeah,
all in on Iran and China, because
yeah, that's what they want to go. That's what they want to do.
the only
Exactly.
way I think they computed a year ago that the only way to defeat China is with Russia. So like
Oh, okay.
like anything in Europe is nothing. It's not fun anymore. Like there may be profit, but there's not long run profit. But
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm talking out of like just looking at the globe and what's going on because those corporations they have their eggs in every basket. So maybe there will never be a war with U.S. and China, but there will be armaments sold for it. Like people will buy guns for the war, even though there's never gonna be a war. There's never gonna be a war.
Man, China don't want to mess with man. If it was an
Yeah,
actual war with China and the United States, like
yeah,
it would be a clown show.
yeah,
Like like come on, like
yeah. But even then, clown shows don't hurt people that much. Like it's gonna be
yeah,
worse than a clown show. Like
yeah,
But
man,
it's still like all the think tanks in the U.S. are gaming it out nonstop, trying to find a way to win on China, win on
yeah,
Taiwan, Or at least if you gotta give up Taiwan, you gotta at least block the first island chain from going Chinese, and that's a
Yeah,
big strategic. That's a big strategic objective for the U.S. But like, any ways you game it out, China
yeah,
always comes out saying like, okay, we like in every scenario, China can send a nuke in the American skies just to say, okay, there's nothing you can do except going nuclear. And it's the same in Ukraine. It's the same in Iran. There's nothing you
hmm,
can do except going nuclear. And that
exactly.
it's an important new reality because it's a shift. Because the U.S. could go not use the nukes and still destroy Iraq, still destroy Afghanistan without
Hmm.
using nukes. But
Yeah,
now they have to, and so it's a different calculation.
yeah. But don't the United States understand that them ship like the starting in the '90s would be well really before that, but the '90s was like when it really started the TPP and NAFTA, like all those trade agreements, like over time. Then China, moved some of the job to China, and then China got rich over like and became more powerful and powerful. Like, but again, they
Yeah,
went
but
to fight. Like I just like go ahead.
it was never about nationalism. Like the corporations don't know flag from another. All they see is profit.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the like there's many groups, but it's hard to group people together. Like one corporation will do a move and gradually move his assets, but they're always like careful not to manufacture like high security parts and in places where they don't trust the government. So they did this
Right.
very gradually. And some corporations they went all in, and so it's the war is really like industrial based, right? if you
Right.
if you want to win the war, you need industries and you need the resources. So now the US is in a bad position because the industry is so privatized that it does whatever it wants. It's there's no way for the US now to come to the factories and say, okay, you're gonna make some bombs, we need fucking bombs now. There's no way. It's not profitable. It's not. You need it requires a heavy investment to upsize the facilities. And so the U.S. is stuck. Like we're even talking about a non-existent stock of missiles. Those the missiles they send to Ukraine, they cannot produce themselves. So the of course the like you said, like the somewhere in the 80s, 70s, and even in the times of after the Second World War, your president warned you that you had to be careful about the influence of the military-industrial complex. And so
Exactly.
they had so much influence now that like all that matters is profit. It
Hmm.
which country, what country, doesn't matter. It's weapons deals and armaments and eventually it's gonna matter because they were gonna want your money, your money too. They're gonna want your country to pay for those weapons. So yeah, I
Yep.
hear you.
Yep. You okay? Yeah, man. Yeah, you're right. Um. Oh yeah. It turns out when I switched my camera, I got two camera inputs. When I switch the other camera, it does something to my mic. So I
Oh,
got my cheap my Dollar Tree camera right here, and now my mic. Now you can hear me good. So
yeah,
yeah, I got up my game. So, sorry for the inconvenience, Smurf and the other people watching. But
that's
yeah,
cool.
man. Yeah, man. It's yeah. All right, man. I'm finna continue. We got like 5 or 10 more minutes left, I think. Yeah.
Implemented is the Biden administration, which is seeking to create its own new reality now by disregarding the will of the American people without Donald Trump to end the war in Ukraine, to prevent a nuclear war with Russia. And the Biden administration is saying, we don't care what you want. We're going to do this regardless.
Before we go back to Chairman Yeshitela, let me ask you this, Scott. Well, two things. One, we heard the dog barking. Was that Fluffy the Pomeranian? And if it was, do not let Fluffy out, because Fluffy escapes, and then you got to go into the woods and find Fluffy. So if that's Fluffy the Pomeranian, do not let that dog out.
That's Maverick the Pomeranian. And he's my security dog.
Okay.
The last time he barked on August 7th, 40 FBI agents showed up at my front door. So,
Maverick, Maverick, my man. Maverick, my man. So on the serious side, with Donald Trump being as transactional of an individual as he is, and I personally do not believe that Donald Trump really has a Weltanschauung or a worldview, that his worldview is what's best for me, I will do in the moment. How can you trust, even though Don Jr. and Bobby Kennedy Jr. penned that piece and incorporated your email and your thoughts into it, how can you trust that Donald Trump will actually stick to in that Hill article?
1 in 5 chance of 1 in
I got
10.
you. Okay.
I said 1 in 14 million.
Okay.
Now that's an exaggeration, but there are a lot of variables that argue against Donald Trump following through on his actions. I can't guarantee anything, but I will tell you this: he picked Tulsi Gabbard to be his director of national intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Tulsi Gabbard may be a Zionist. She may support Israel blindly. And there's a lot to be faulted for that. But she has been pragmatic and realistic on the worldview, including the need to get out of Ukraine, the need to prevent a war with Russia. These are core values that she holds. She will be the person briefing Donald Trump every single morning. The first thing he's going to hear every day is Tulsi Gabbard give him a worldview that will shape, because remember, Donald Trump makes policy, nobody else. I don't know what little Marco Rubio thinks he's going to do as Secretary of State. If he thinks he's going to wade in there and make the world as Marco wants, he asked Mike Pompeo how that worked, ask Rex Tillerson how that worked. Donald Trump is a top-down manager. He alone makes policy, and little Marco will be told to salute smartly, implement policy, or leave. Because remember, Marco Rubio isn't somebody that Donald Trump wanted. Donald Trump was paid $100 million by Miriam Adelson to put Marco Rubio in his cabinet. She wanted him as vice president. When Trump said no, she met with him again. Remember, they had that follow-on meeting, and she whispered sweet nothings in his ear, saying, you won't get a penny if he's not on your cabinet. He said, he'll be on the cabitt.
No, so she gave him Big Mac and fries, Scott. She didn't whisper in his ear. She's
not his type. Her money is his type. Her money speaks the Donald Trump language. So he picked little Marco. Little Marco, I don't think, at a minimum, I mean, the best case is Marco leaves in 2 years at the midterm. He's not long-term. Worst case is little Marco in about 6 months, 8 months to under a year says, I can't work in an administration that doesn't regard, that ignores me, that doesn't pay attention to me. I'm sitting at my desk doing nothing, and he leaves. And that's okay. He gave him his shot. He's gone. He'll put somebody else in. But I think the most important person that's been picked by Donald Trump is Tulsi Gabbard, and she will bring a very pragmatic, realistic worldview to Donald Trump every morning. And Donald Trump is one of these people that, his actions are predicated on the last person to talk to him.
You really think, you really think Tulsi Gabbard would get to Donald Trump, Smurf?
I don't know. We'll see. But she certainly is not opposed to Israel.
Yeah.
So, and I hear a lot of people like Scott nowadays are just resigned. They're not resigned, but I mean, they're broken in. They're like, yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of Zionists. There's nothing you can do about that. It's the U.S. What can you do? It's a bunch of Zionists in power. and now they're like watering it down, saying like, oh, but it's just decorative appointments. You know, they're not really Zionists in power. They're more like just decor,
Yes,
because they
being
have
appointed.
no. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I don't think. I don't. Yeah, I think Israel has a lot of power still in Congress and in the Senate and everywhere. Like in the a lot of like watchers have been saying that it's actually there's never been that many Israeli agents in power. Like they're not like dual nationality. They're actual like they're working for the Israeli intelligence FBI thing, Shin Bet.
Hmm. I agree, and that's why I said too.
And, yeah, and they have a name
Yeah,
for it in Hebrew, and I don't know, like Nepharim or something. They're agents, yeah, and they're in power. So I don't know, like Tulsi is maybe one of them, maybe not.
yeah,
I kind of like her surfer, no nonsense, combat experience, like kind of hippie chick. But I don't like her Indian nationalist, deep beliefs, Christianity. So like, yeah,
oh yeah,
I
me
don't
too,
like
man.
Tulsi. I never liked Tulsi that much, but maybe I
Yeah,
give her a chance. I'm not like I wouldn't bar her out of like having an impact on Trump or on foreign policy. Uh,
yeah,
she can be a positive force, but she's probably like a very Israel aligned, so that's not good.
yeah. That's the only problem. Like, if she wasn't a Zionist, then I said maybe she can like kind of get to Trump. Maybe like change his stance on certain things. But yeah, yeah. We have to see, man. Then if she prove us right, then we'll be back on here saying that we were right. All right, so back to the video. A few more minutes, I think.
And so
And
every morning, if Tulsi is the one talking to him, I think he wakes up not saying, I want to go to war with the world, but saying, how can I solve world problems? And hopefully that plays out in Ukraine and with Russia.
And Chairman Yeshitela, A. Random Jack says only a pathocracy would do what the U.S. is doing. And for those who may wonder or may not have ever heard the term pathocracy, a pathocracy is a system of government where a small group of people with personality disorders gain control over the nation, as in the inmates have taken over at the asylum. What's your thought based upon what you've been subjected to and what you see, the breaking news that we've just talked about developing this morning? What's your thought about Random Jack and his point about only a pathocracy would do what the U.S. is doing?
Well, I wish it were possible to define it in terms of some kind of pathology. I think that Trump administration this time is going to be different from the first. Not simply because the first he just put people in there who had not been properly vetted or something to that effect. I think something else is happening in the world. I think that there has been a major transformation of the political and economic configuration of the planet Earth. I think it's happening right before our eyes, and we see much of that. And Russia is a factor in that. Even Brzezinski, who was an advisor of Obama and what have you, had tried to put together a policy direction that would have the United States how not to attempt to be the empire, the head of the empire, but to bring other forces in and have this kind of collective leadership with the U.S. leading from behind. That was Obama. Remember, everybody complaining because Obama's leading from behind, because that was the Brzezinski doctrine that they tried to implement, and it didn't work because the United States was determined not simply to allow China and Russia to be on the same team, but to be on its team. It was going to give direction. And so I think that what you see with the movement of Trump and all of the forces who came into many of them, his administration, all of them were condemned, many of them charged, some jail for being agents of Russia and what have you. Because there is another generation, if not generation, another element of economic interest in this country that wanted to penetrate into Russia, into that area. Tremendous amount of resources in Russia that had been kept off limits to some of the economic sectors in this country, and they wanted it open. And Trump was people around him. That's why they went to jail. And I think that they are convinced that Trump will do something different in Ukraine, and that's one of the problems. That because Russia plays a really important role, and not because it's so democratic and progressive, but because it has interests that would challenge and upset the apple cart, especially coming from
anti-imperialist interests.
Well, it's the whole Atlanticist group. The Atlanticist group that's dominated the world for the last 25 years, that gave birth to NATO, gave birth to the United Nations, gave birth to most of the trade relationships that's out there today. Trump assaulted that. And that's something that's in sort of a disintegration. So all of the Atlantic powers, were opposed to Trump. Remember, England played a big role also in giving the thing about Russia to the Democratic Party. I think this is part of what utilized to carry out this. But there are economic interests, powerful economic interests at play too. That's the only thing I would say. Okay. And I also say this, that this should help us to understand the relationship of the domestic politics, if you will, and what's happening in the world. Kamala Harris would have been a fundamental contradiction, real big problem. Her election would have been a real big problem because it would have validated everything that Biden has done up to now. Biden was against the Civil Rights Bill. Biden put the 100,000 cops in the streets of this country that led to George Floyd and all the other forces out there. Biden has not been a Democrat, and it's Biden administration that attacked my home at 4 o'clock in the morning while we were told that Trump gets elected. Trump is a proto-fascist. We got fascism to be looking for. Trump forces, are the ones who fought against. It was Trump forces who were talking about the weaponization of the CIA and the FBI and things like that, and holding those kinds of hearings in Congress. And we're looking at it. We've experienced it historically. For the last 60 or more years, the FBI has been attacking me for doing what? Working in the Black community to try to change conditions for Black people, not Trump. So the thing is, colonialism is a mother. And so it doesn't really matter which administration as such is in place. It's what the policies are. What is it that they stand for? Where are they trying to drive the political situation? And how is that favorable or unfavorable to the conditions of the people? And also the fact that they plan to put me in prison December 16th, in part because of my opposition to what they were doing in Ukraine. Stated up, and that came out in the trial. They had FBI agents who were there on the stand, who had taken an oath to tell the truth, etc., who testified that we did nothing to interfere with Russians in the elections in this country. And yet I'm convicted of being conspiring to do this kind of stuff.
That's wild. That's crazy.
That's crazy, right?
What the fuck? When?
So, Andre, what did you do to prevent Russia from conspiring in the elections? You did nothing, Andre.
I ain't do nothing, man.
So you're guilty, just like everybody else. Like nobody did nothing to prevent Russia from conspiring in the elections for many reasons.
That's wild, man. It ain't funny, but I'm laughing because it's so sad. Like
it is so
outrage, but
it doesn't take much of a head to be like, this makes no sense. What the hell?
This make no fucking sense at all. Like they saying that, hey, we didn't find no proof of foreign interference, but why the fuck you got him on trial, potentially facing 5 years in prison, which for an elder man like him, that's like he's still a life sentence. Like he might not get out in 5 years. Oh my God! I see, Smurf. This is why, man.
And it's
This is
crazy
why we
because
need that revolution.
they
We
couldn't
need it,
prove he
man.
did
We really
it.
need it now. But I know,
Yeah.
yeah. I just, man, like, wow. When I watched this while I was working out, I was literally like, man, when I heard that part, I almost fell off the goddamn stairmaster, man. I almost fell off. I'm like, what the? I like my thing. I like, why the fuck is he on trial then? Like, should he just, just let me continue, man. It's crazy.
And who did something to interfere with the election? The Justice Department, they attacked my home. They attacked my home in part because of our participation in the damn elections around reparations.
Well, I know, wait a minute. I know who admitted to being involved in interfering in the election. AIPAC, because they published an article in the New York Times in April of this year saying they were going to spend $100 million on the Democratic primary to unseat as many what they consider to be anti-Israel Democrats as possible. So I know who admitted to doing it. Scott, let me ask you that. First of all, unemployed scholar, thank you much for that super sticker. Greatly appreciate it. Scott, your thoughts on what Chairman Yeshitela, you were nodding in affirmation to a lot of that. And also, G-Man says, do you think Harris handlers would have allowed her to go into war? Let's be serious. G-Man, let's be serious. Look at the move that was just made. She's a part of the administration, says that she's in the room while all the decisions are being made. And when asked what she would do different than Joe Biden, she has no answer. Scott Ritter.
Well, just to further that too, there was talk early on in the Harris campaign, and I understand this was an abbreviated campaign because she wasn't elected, she was selected. This was a coup launched against Joe Biden by Democratic Party elites. But early on, she indicated that she might surround herself with a different advisory team, that her State Department, her National Security Advisor would be different. Later on, she said, no, I'm going to keep Blinken, I'm going to keep Sullivan, and keep the same team. So that answers your question, doesn't it? The question of the person watching this show. It answers exactly. We know exactly what she would have. Do I think her handlers would have let her handlers are the same handlers that are handling Biden?
Yeah.
So and handled Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
because
so
she's a Hillary Clinton acolyte.
And Jake Sullivan and Tony Blinken are a product of the Clinton camp. They worked for Clinton. So we know what the answer is. I don't know why this person believes that it would be anything other than this. But now, Chairman OMALI, that you know has something in common. Now I'm going to say something, and please don't be offended what I'm going to say, but there's a reason why I'm about to say it. You, me, and Donald Trump have something in common. The FBI went through our wives' underwear drawers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for you and me, it's just it's just part of what the overall insult. Donald Trump has taken that aspect to a new level. Of all the things the FBI did, that one has angered his wife, and therefore he has. But it's part and parcel of the invasive process, a federal law enforcement agency, because they are angry with words we have spoken, came into our houses and violated the sanctity of the home. The sanctity of the home, the sanctity of the bedroom, the sanctity of the underwear drawer of our wives. They had no damn reason to go up there and rifle through that, or rifle through yours, or rifle through Donald Trump. None whatsoever, other than to say we can't. They are like the dog that goes in and pees on everything to mark the territory. And they came into my house and they pissed all over my stuff. They did it to your house and they did it to Donald Trump. And you know what? That will not stand. Chairman, I can't guarantee the future for you. I don't know what the judge is going to do on December 16th. They will probably sentence you to prison. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you this. I will do everything in my power to make sure that one of the first actions of the Trump administration is to make null and void your conviction, because it is a criminal conviction based upon the same criminal actions of the FBI that have targeted me and Donald Trump. If the rumors are true, there won't be too many people left in the Department of Justice and the FBI on January 20th because they're all quitting because they know what's about to come down. If they take apart your file, I can guarantee this, Chairman. You put me in charge. That Matt Gaetz, are you listening? Put me in charge of reviewing Chairman O'Malley's FBI file and give me the power to indict every single FBI agent and every single Department of Justice agent that violated his civil rights knowingly. And let me put them in federal prison. Man, the federal prisons will fill up. They'll have to build all new prisons to put. And if you did that to my case and went there and got the FBI agents who got a judge to sign off on probable cause to come into my home because of free speech, and they said about free speech, they are mad at me, Chairman, because I dared sit down and interview the Russian ambassador, Anatoly Antonov, about the dangers of Russophobia, an interview that was initiated by me in writing in an email. He came in, we talked. Part of the results is he gave me an article that he wrote. He said, in the past, I could place this in the New York Times or the Washington Post, but nobody will touch it. I took the article, broke it up, incorporated it into a larger piece I wrote, and they said, I'm taking direction from the Russians.
I
won't disgrace Wilmer by giving you the response I gave him, but it began with an F and it ended with off. They don't get to do this. They are doing it, but they don't get to do it. And for the first time in American history, we have a revolutionary. That's the other thing you and Donald Trump have in common. You may not have the same goals, you may not have the same objectives, but he is as revolutionary as you are. He is seeking revolutionary transformation of this country. And one of the things he's going to do is take down the edifice of injustice that is the Justice Department and the FBI. And I will do everything to do my best to have your case one of the first cases reviewed, because this is the battle of free speech. Elon Musk and everybody talks about how important free speech is. Your case, the Uhuru 3, is the first fight. This is the Lexington and Concord of the battle in defense of revolutionary free speech. And we must defend you. We must step up. There will be an injustice on the 16th. I know there will be, because this is the Biden administration. They sent them into your home to go through your wife's underwear drawer. They will do anything to include sentencing you to jail. Unfortunately, Chairman, you are going to spend some time in a federal prison. My goal is to make the time you spend less than a couple months, to get you out and to have you to make sure America understands the injustice that has been done to you and your cause, so that then you can get on with the business of trying to convince people like me that your cause is just, that your cause is right. As I've told you all along, I love listening to you every time you speak. Just Wilmer, he just corrected you on something. This man is an encyclopedia of knowledge. His facts are 100% correct. His analysis, I trust, but we need to have more conversations, Chairman. We need to have discussions and stuff to win me over. I'm not an easy person to win over. I'm a 63-year-old man who is set in my ways, okay? But I'm willing to listen. But in order for me to listen, you have to be able to speak. And we have to make sure that you have the right to speak, you have the ability to speak, so people like me can listen to your message and we can decide what to do about it, because something needs to be done about it. There is an injustice taking place in St. Louis. There's an injustice taking place in St. Petersburg, in Washington, D.C., around the world, in Philadelphia. Every place there is a Black community, there is injustice. There is racism in America today that must be addressed. I don't know what the solution is. You say you have one. I'm willing to listen and work with you on this one. But I can't listen if you can't speak. You have a right to speak. And we have a duty to let you speak. And so I am going to go to war for you, because it's not just for you. It's for me. It's for all Americans. This is the American battle. This is the Lexington and Concord of the war for free speech.
Let me, before you...
So we'll end it right there, man. Like, man, Scott Ritter ended that motherfucker with a bang. Oh man, like, yeah, defund the fucking FBI, man. Like, fuck them. Yeah, I will say that, you know. So what's your thoughts, Smurf?
There's a lot to say on that. Either it's the crazy thing I was thinking about this week is like the U.S. election is such a joke, but at the same time it is a world-changing event. So it's like a Greek tragedy. It's like it's both funny and
Yeah.
and ironic, and at the same time it's tragic, and the whole time you can be laughing or crying because you're like, if they only spoke to each other, if they only listened, if they only opened their eyes, if they had only, the whole long, all along the play, you can be like, it is so stupid. It is so stupid that, but they're gonna kill each other over stupid shit. So it's tragic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Exactly, man. Yeah. To me, like, what I get from that part of the interview is that, like, you know, like you said, like Scott Ritter and O'Malley, like they have totally different viewpoints, but at the end of the day, like they have us as a human race, no, not human race, us as a human species, like we have so much fucking shit in common, man. Like, like we're both like right now, like you can see like these platforms, like they trying to suppress us everywhere, like even Blue Sky suppressing, getting rid of Palestinian accounts. Like people don't know that.
No, I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, I like Blue Sky, but I'm gonna stay on Twitter. The only reason why I'm staying on Twitter, obviously, because I'm about to hit 10,000 followers, which is crazy. Like that's crazy though. Like when I start bitching and complaining, like them motherfuckers start doing me right. That's weird. But anyway, like we get suppressed, like left independent media, like we're the ones getting suppressed. I don't see the right. The only reason why the right is not getting suppressed like us is because they have the money, the resources. Like ain't no money on the left.
I don't believe in that because you can hear like Alex Jones complaining how he's suppressed and it's because of the left, and like
Yeah,
I don't believe in those
ATP network.
nonsense that much.
Yeah, the ATP network. We suppressing Alex Jones. Yeah, no, no, the onion suppressing your ass. That's who suppressing you. The onion, dude. That's crazy, man. The onion.
The sale didn't go through apparently.
Oh, it didn't. Oh shit.
Apparently, that's what he said.
Shit.
Yeah, a few days ago. Yeah,
I thought Elon Musk was gonna buy it from. He
yeah.
was asking Elon, can you buy can you buy Infowars, please Elon, please I lick your boots. Oh Elon.
But
But
they're
yeah,
they're in
man.
the same camp. I think Alex Jones was always like a Trumpist. I think he like changed Jesus Christ for Trump on his cross. Like he's a real Trumper.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's always
Yeah.
worried they're gonna kill him. He's always like, "Oh, Trump, I'm trying to call you on line 4, but you won't answer. They're gonna kill you. I gotta tell you, you gotta pick up the phone, sir. They're gonna kill you."
Oh please Donald
Yeah,
Trump, please. You got Donald Trump on
no,
goddamn speed
yeah,
dial, man.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that last part was wild, man. But it's so fucking true. Like,
No, it's a good interview. I really,
great
I
interview.
was
Yeah.
not familiar with Dr. Wilmer Leon, but there was
Yeah.
a bunch of other great moments. Like you can see
Yeah.
like two grandpas or at least boomers from a different corners of the ring coming
Mm,
together, and I
yeah.
just like that. This is like common sense. This is like it has nothing to do with the left and the right. Those are like minor issues we can iron out afterwards.
I
Like
tell
not
you.
for now. Salary, healthcare, no wars, no bombing, and better roads, better no policing. Like yeah. There's everybody agrees on that, and if there was democracy, you'd have that.
Yeah. If you take away the Republican and Democrat, hell, we just fucking same.
You should
Like
just vote
we
on the
agree on the
issues,
same shit.
not vote on the party. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like they say at the IMF, oh, we can't let elections change the economic policy.
Yeah.
You can't have
Man,
that,
it's wild.
Andre.
No, I can't. No, no.
Elections change nothing. Otherwise, you can't have predictability. Come on, Andre. Be
Hell no.
reasonable.
But Smurf, they know that if people vote on the issues, like they wouldn't even fucking exist. It wouldn't be no fucking deep state. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit would be existing right now.
Yeah.
So
So that's why.
yeah, yeah. Like if we had ranked choice voting too, like it wouldn't be no fucking Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. And more likely it'll be Jill Stein. Most likely, or whoever else.
But it has its price. It also comes with consequences. There's no perfect system yet, but
Yeah, yeah.
like there's some really bad ones though.
Yeah, the ones here. Yeah, this is a cesspool, man,
It
within
was
the sewer.
good. I mean, it was good when it was never good. But
It was never good. Yeah,
like if it wasn't for the slavery and the natives, the U.S. They put on paper some really nice ideas, and they gave their citizens some really nice rights. But not
yeah.
everybody was a citizen, and not everybody was on paper either. So
On-
but every time they can defeat the British, yeah, I'm with the U.S. But yeah,
yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, yeah, I agree the
but then
same.
again, whenever the British can hang their kings, I'm with the British.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. Um, hey, I know I shouldn't be saying this on YouTube, but can we hang the oligarchs too and the elite?
Yeah,
Now that's making America great again.
yeah, not too long because we need to barbecue them after.
Yeah, yeah. Throw a big ass party. All of the oligarchs are gone. There are no elites. We own everything. We own the means of production. Man, that'd be the man. I think there's gonna be some great years ahead, man. It will be great years ahead. What the fuck I'm talking about? All right, guys. Be sure to like the video. Please like it. I need to start saying like the video in the beginning too, like, cause like you say, Smurf, people click on this shit and click off in the real view. But yeah. Shameless plugs. If you can slide Ty Peasant a few dollars, Cash App, Liz4285, and also too, subscribe to my podcast, Real Recognize Real, available on all major podcasting platforms. And also too, y'all, follow Smurf on Twitter. I need to start promoting this guy. I'm promoting everybody else except for this guy. Like, this guy does a lot for the network, and he's really appreciated. Follow him on Twitter. It's at Demons Nick. Yeah, DEMONSNIC. Demons Nick. Follow him, man. Let's get him some followers, man. All right, Smurf. Any last words before we head out?
Oh, you know me, nothing special. Just do a little revolution for me.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. We're gonna hold it down in the U.S. of A's. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching One on One with Smurf. I'm Andre. He's Smurf, and we're signing out. Have a good day.